Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is CJ. Welcome back for another quick video on the 75 EXT. Also known, we're going to rename this thing as the Be Easy Reef. I like that a little bit better. So with that being said, we're going to cover everything related to the AI blades on the tank. That's right. If you did not notice, I made a change from the Orphic lightings to the AI blades a little over a month ago, and they've been doing great so far. So the goal of this video is just cover everything I would want to know if I didn't have these lights yet. If I was searching on YouTube or Google for AI blade reviews. I want you to be able to look at this video and learn everything that you may want to know to make a informed decision if you want to get these lights. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so let's dive right into the unboxing of the brand new AI blades. We have the 30-inch variety. 39-inch is a little too long for the tank, and there's no sizes in between. So this is what we're rolling with. We have 2 grows and 2 glows. I included screenshots from the Aquillumination site for those that wanted the actual charting, and LEDs are included. But for the most part, in a nutshell, your grows are going to be your wider color spectrum. It includes the cool whites and then royal blues and different kind of blue. And then your glows are going to be mainly for your color pops. So that's going to be your UVs, your violets, royal blues, and a different kind of blue. I believe it's almost a purplish color. So in combination, these together should create a nice blend of colors in the tank, and we're going to cover that a little later in the video. Now, when it comes to the build quality themselves, I would say very solid, sleek looking lights. Now, if you bang this across the wall, will it break? Of course. I don't think it's that heavy duty, but I do think they're going to stand up and do well over the tank. Now, when it comes to mounting them, they include mounts on the lights themselves that let you set them right on top of the tank if you choose to, or you can go the route that I went, and which is with the HMS mounts. These mounts fit all of the Aquillumination lighting, and if you want to convert it to the blade, you have to purchase the additional clips, which I'm showing you in the video. Makes install super easy, and you also want to include the extender rail for the HMS mount as well, so that way you can get the length over the tank you want. Otherwise, the blades won't reach more than halfway, without you lighting the back wall of your system, right? So this is going to be the layout of all of the equipment that we're going to use. We got the 4 blades, we got the HMS mounts, we got the extender mount, all the power bricks, we got the clips. And honestly, guys, I didn't use all of this stuff at all. A lot of the mount options that come with the HMS kit, you don't need for the blades, so I'll just keep those for future mounting options if I need them. But for the most part, it's pretty easy. You got to make sure that you remove, well, I guess this is optional, but for me, no point in having this extra clutter on the lights if I have no intention on putting them on the tank itself. Then you can go ahead and pull these off and remove them. Just be careful that you don't snag them or, pull off the ends of the light, because I did notice if you wanted to, you could disassemble them pretty easily by just pulling the ends of the lights themselves off. And you don't want to break that seal, which makes them waterproof. So something else I want to mention is going to be the HMS mounting kit. If you choose to, you can neatly tuck all of the cords inside of the rail, which is pretty neat. I thought about it, almost pulled the trigger till I thought about future changes and having to disassemble the entire mount, so I decided against it and we use zip ties instead. But something else I want to share with you all, it's going to be the mounting kit itself. Very, very simple. I looked at the instructions for a couple seconds and then it was like, I can figure this out on my own. So it's pretty much what we did. But it's an easy kind of aluminum locking style setup. So just make sure that before you do any of this, you literally measure your tank. And by measure your tank, I'm talking about measuring the distance between the tank rails themselves and the middle of your skate, the height that you want with the mount on the tank, and try to get all that measured out to that way when you're assembling this, you don't have to make too many additional adjustments after the fact. So, even though I measured it, I still had to make adjustments. So I'm going to stress that just, measure twice, only have to adjust once is always a little easier. But if you do have to make adjustments, very easy. It includes the Allen wrench and everything you need. You kind of just slide everything in place, tighten a screw here, tighten a screw there, and that's pretty much all you need to do on this mount. So after you get the actual arm and rail assembled, mounting the clips, very easy. Just put the screw in and slide it right down the channel and tighten each one into place. Now I will suggest not over tightening these right away. until you get the final layout of your lighting on the tank. Being able to slide and adjust the lights forward or backwards to fit over the scape the way you want it to is, definitely clutch when it's already on the tank. So something else I want to mention, you are able to cut and shorten the extender rails. So that way you don't have a lot of leftover hanging on the back side or the front side of your system. Unfortunately, a hand hacksaw didn't get it done for me. I figured it was funny just showing my, hour of cutting that got me nowhere. But we ended up getting that done. A buddy of mine, he has some tools, so we got it done. But when it comes to getting them installed, as you see, very, very easy. And the clips are very strong as far as holding the lights in place. I have no doubt that they're going to stay in place unless I really went up there and tried to snatch them off, which, you want them to come off if that happens, right? But this is pretty much what it looks like, guys. We got the mount set up. We have the lights installed. We got everything powered up, and now we just need to do a little bit of testing, a little bit of installation on the Mobius app, which was fairly straightforward. I already had Mobius installed for the MP40s on the system, so adding a new device and adding the AI blades, very easy. Discovered them right away, automatically started any, and all firmware and software updates, and then once all of these updates were completed, we are ready to, get these things on the tank. So fairly straightforward, fairly simple, very frustration free, if you want to call it that. I'm happy that that's pretty much what it was with these lights. And that's going to be the final result, guys. After getting that additional 4 or 5 inches cut and trimmed off the aluminum frame and end caps put back on, everything looks very, very clean and flush. Lights themselves, very low profile. Cord management, I just kind of tucked all the wires down the backside of the rail, zip tied them into place. You can't even see them on camera. So it definitely came out clean. So for the most part, very, very happy with the HMS mounting kit. Now, only thing I didn't like was the screws having to be inside the tank. I tried to do it the other way, but the leverage of the lights, it wouldn't work out. So this is what we ended up going with. But the plus side made it very easy to install on my own. I was like literally able to hold the lights over the tank, slide them into place, screw these screws into place myself, holding the lights, and then I was done. So self-installation, major, major plus when it comes to being able to install and remove these for any future maintenance. And overall, everything's solid, no bowing, no bending. As you can see, lights are leveled and everything is just doing what it's supposed to do. So for those of you all that were curious, we did mount the lights at 9 inches above the tank. I played with different mounting heights and settings. I went to 13 inches, 14 inches, down to around 5 inches. And ultimately, guys, 9 inches gave me the combination of tank access, meaning being able to get my arm in there, turkey baster in there, scrape the back wall if I wanted to, and also gave me the spread that I wanted from these 30-inch lights. Considering they don't go wall to wall as far as the length and width of my tank, getting them at a certain height to get the spread I wanted over the scape and the coils was very important. So 9 inches is going to be what I went with. I believe BRS recommends 8 inches, so I was pretty close to what they recommended. And that's pretty much what we've been using over the last month. So that's the height, that's the install, and that is how they look on the tank. Now, I know a lot of you all may be curious, CJ, what is your lighting schedule on the AI blades? How are you running them? Well, pay attention to the left side of the screen. I'm going to show you guys the exact schedule that I've been running over the last few weeks. And honestly, I'm probably going to stick with it going forward because it's worked out well for me. Now, before I dive too far into it, I do also want to mention that within the Mobius app, there are tons of built-in templates for the glows and the grows to work individually, to focus on either coloration or for growth, or to work together, which is pretty neat. You can say, hey, I have a glow and a grow. Do you have a template for me already? And the answer is yes. So with all that being said, the schedule I'm showing you guys on the left side of the screen is going to be my own personal custom schedule that I actually just built based off my own eyes, guys. I just wanted to enjoy the tank, certain colors of the tank during certain times of the day. And that is what this schedule was basically built off of, in conjunction with using a par meter to make sure I didn't have things set too high and, burning and bleaching and, just roasting my tank with these lights. Because I do have 4 AI blades, not 2, not 3, 4 on the system. And that is a ton of light that I'm using on the reef tank. So with all that being said, you pay a lot of attention to the schedule on the left, you'll see that the peak intensity of the glow lights is only 70% throughout the whole day, and I have every channel at 100%. It's not really too complicated. I'm just trying to take advantage of every LED within that fixture to give me color pop and color, core coloration that I'm looking for in the tank. So let's move on to the grow fixtures, which is going to provide the whiter color throughout the day. And as you see, looking at the schedule looks a little more complicated than the glows. The glows is very simple. They ramp up, they're at 100%, and then they ramp down, and that's it. But when it comes to the glows, they are the only way I have of manipulating, how white the tank is and how blue the tank is. So I ended up going with a peak intensity of only 40% because the wider spectrum in these lights really ramps up the power in the tank. And it also helps give me that daylight look so I can enjoy my fish during the middle part of the day. And then the whites ramp down, and then it's pretty much all blues between the glows and the grows to give me a nice, moonlit kind of fluorescent tank look through the evening hours. So for those that are curious, that is the schedule I went with. Is it the perfect schedule? I can't say yes or no, but it is a schedule for me, and that's what my eyes like on my tank. So let's take a step back and discuss some of the things that I may have not liked with the lights. Some we were able to overcome, and I'll share with you how I did that and what I've learned. And some other issues I'm still working on a potential, fix for. Now, issue number one is going to be the green on the bottom of the lights. These little indicator power, link, sync lights, whatever they are, which are fine during the day, but at nighttime when the lights actually turn off, if you choose to have them turn off, these green LEDs are pretty bright and they can light the tank up, or at least the right side of it. So if you want to disable it, pretty easy to do. You can do it within the Mobius app. So you just go to your glows or your grows. There's a little gear symbol on the top right for settings, and it is a dimming feature for these lights, which I had to discover. And once you hit that and turn it on 30 seconds, it will kill the lights. So they'll only be on when you first plug the lights up, but once they're on, you're never going to see those lights again. So the next thing I'm going to mention is going to be the spread of these lights, which is absolutely fantastic. Only being 30 inches long, they cover the entire tank, but also means they cover the entire wall behind it and the couch in front of it. So, if you don't have any options for glare or floating canopies, or you can't mount them lower on the tank, that is something you want to consider. Is going to be the glare from these lights. Now, when it comes to the shimmer, you can always depend on LEDs to provide shimmer, and these definitely don't disappoint. A very soft, natural looking shimmer on the sand bed, zero disco ball effect. Looks pretty damn dope in person. The camera never really does lights justice. So another question you may have, with these being a thinner fixture, does a thinner heat sink work as well? And the answer is yes. I really don't have any heating issues from these lights. I will tell you that the glows do generate a little more heat than the grows do. For some reason, I'm thinking maybe because they have more LEDs, but I did notice that between the two being side by side. Now, another bit of information is going to be the Lunar Cycle. It's something you couldn't find online. I couldn't find online. I actually had to call in to find out that you have to run your lights at a minimum of 5% intensity throughout the night for the lunar mode to work. Because once it reduces the percentage based off the lunar cycle, if the percentage is less than 1%, then it literally turns the fixture off. These fixtures cannot run less than 1% power. And that was something I had to learn, without knowing about it. So I figured I would share it with you guys. So the last important question, well, the second to last important question you may want to know is going to be, how many blades do you need on your tank? Why did I go with 4? Well, the AI site recommends a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning they want you to have 2 grows and 1 glow for your tank, which is what I probably would have went with. But considering I had Orphic lighting on here before, and I ended up adding a 5th bar, I figured I wanted to add a 4th blade to kind of give me the same idea, meaning the more bars you have, the more spread you have, the more options you have as color blending. And that was the reason I wanted 4 on this tank, and it ended up working out pretty well. but could I get away with 3? Absolutely. I feel like I could. Now, when it comes to the 3 you choose, I honestly would probably go with more glows than grows. And my reason being, I feel like you get more out of the glows, more color pop. You get more of the bluer, purple, violet colors than you do the grows. And that's something that if I did have limited lighting available, I probably would go more that route. So I figured I would share that with you guys. And that's kind of the quick hit list as far as things I would want to know. And I guess the next major question is, you guys are wondering, is the PAR, how strong are the lights? Am I getting enough light on the tank? And the answer is yes, absolutely. I did a full PAR mapping on the tank, turned these lights up to 100%, and I was getting roughly 600 PAR at the surface with these lights at 9 inches and almost 300 PAR at the sand bed. So as you guys know, that is an extreme amount of PAR from 4 LEDs on this tank. So I have tuned them down to the current spectrum that I showed you earlier in the video, which gives me a peak PAR of around 330 at the top of the peak and a minimum PAR of around 140 or 130 or so at the sand bed in the corners, and then the bottom of the tank getting around 150 or so. Middle of the tank anywhere at around 200 to 250. So it's pretty much the light settings that I needed for my system, with it being a mixed reef. But for those that were curious, 4 blades definitely can cook your tank, so make sure you're careful with it. 3 blades gives you around 100 less PAR. So if you're wanting 3 blades, maximum intensity, you're still going to end up with roughly around 490 or 500 PAR at the surface, and roughly around 250, 300 PAR at the sand bed. So I want to make sure I mention all of those numbers for those that were curious. And I think that's pretty much gonna kind of wrap up everything I wanted to cover for you guys, at least my first thoughts on the blades. So if you have questions, I'm sure I probably missed something in this video. By all means, drop a comment, ask, and I'll try to answer it best I can. And for those that are curious on why the switch, I know people are wondering why I switched from Orphic to AI blades. But we're going to cover that in a future video when I actually do my full comparison of the AI blades and the Orphic lights from my own perspective using both. So make sure you keep an eye out for that video. And for anyone else, you guys know what time it is. You can always like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing. Peace.